Okay, we're back.
Hello.
So last time on the episode, whatever 26 something, we
You got a
we
number?
made a bass thing with a reverb, and for this part, this part, yeah, this part. Uh, it was just like a continuous sound that was sweeping up and down, and I decided that
Hate it.
I didn't necessarily hate it, but I couldn't get it to fit. I couldn't. There was no balance to be made between it being hearable and it not taking up too much of the user's attention, listener, whatever. And so what I did
I
was,
mean, it still works.
yeah, I mean
You're
they're
using the
using my
medium,
song.
to like do things.
Regardless, I decided to um, switch up what I'm doing, and right now what I have is basically like a call and response kind of thing going on here. And if I solo out the phase bass here, this main bass, and then what I have here, you'll see what I'm talking about. So it's just sort of repeating what the phase bass does, but it's band passed. I've got it high passed at around 500 hertz, and then low passed at around 10 kilohertz. And then what else? Did I change anything else? Oh yes, I added an isotope trash, which is a distortion, which I highly recommend. I'm just basically throwing it through this nasty boy distortion preset on the heavy section. And that's pretty much it. And then it's just running through a reverb. I brought the decay time down by a bunch because it didn't need to sound super ambient because it's kind of having like short stabs now. And if I have the decay time too long, it'll just kind of bleed over each hit. So I brought that down a bunch, and that's pretty much it. I brought down the 2 kilohertz region on this secondary EQ here, just because that's the region where the vocals are prominent in that area. And if I take it off of solo and just play it, you'll hear what I mean. So yeah, in that space, the vocals are also hitting, and so we don't want this to disrupt the vocals. We just want it to fill in the rest of the spectrum. And if you noticed, you can hardly almost hear it. You can barely make it out there. But that's kind of what we want. We want it to just fill up some of the spectrum there and make it feel a little fuller without necessarily being hearable. But I'm going to just play this through, and on this part, when it drops out, see if you can hear the difference where it's not there anymore.
It's very subtle, but definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely adds something.
Yeah.
It's like the salt of the mix.
Exactly.
It's just bringing up the flavor a little
Yeah,
bit.
you don't exactly. That's a very good comparison. Because if you took the salt out of even like a soda, people don't realize like there's salt in soda, you know. But if you took it out, it would taste terrible.
Yeah. Well, I once made a spaghetti sauce and I didn't put no salt.
That's actually, yeah.
It wasn't very good. That was okay once I added cheese because cheese has salt.
That's actually most of the reason why cheese is good.
Yeah. But I also like it because it's adding. We're not talking about cheese anymore. Just lower people's expectation. This conversation is going back to the real mode. Like, oh, he's gonna talk more about cheese, which technically I guess I just did. But I like the fact that this is acting almost as a delay. Like,
yeah, it kind of sounds like a delay, but
different instruments.
Because it's different, I have more control over not only the space that it takes up, but also how it sounds, obviously. Just gonna make this blue. All right, so that's good. Let me just take a listen here. Oh yes, one thing that I noticed was the part that pitch bends up. I think I want to do the same thing here. So I'm gonna go hop into the massive, and on the octave, set the pitch bend up to 12 semitones. And then hop into the pitch bend envelope here. All right, now let me just solo both of them so I can
Nail the.
get a good feel for if the pitch matches. Yeah, that's pretty close. I might actually bring it up just a little bit. Sounds pretty good to me.
Yep. Me too. I feel like you were waiting for me to say that. So.
No.
Oh. I'm just a
Well, I'm
sad
glad. I
ghost.
mean, I'm
No.
glad that you agree. Because if you didn't, that would be bad.
I'm actually just here to agree. He held up a sign that said "Agree."
Yeah, I've got one of those things that says like applause.
Yeah.
And laugh. All right. Another thing I noticed was the cymbals in this part when they come in, they still sound a little bit too loud. So I'm gonna go fix that now. Let's unfreeze them and bring down the volume.
You're unfreezing a lot. Getting into dangerous territory.
Yeah. I'll refreeze everything in a little bit. All right, so let's hear that. Okay, brought it down even more. Let's take another listen. Oh, real quick before I forget, one little other thing I added was we had this chirp in here. I just copied it over and then dropped it down by an octave and turned the volume down a little bit. So it does this now.
Yeah.
Which I thought rounded it out nicely.
Yeah, it makes it a little less like awkward.
Yeah, it doesn't
than
just go
once.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still provides that treat that we were talking about in the other episode where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, sometimes you only do it once but it still counts as one like particular moment.
Yeah. All right, so let's make sure these hi-hats are the right ones. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's sounding pretty good up until the drop point. I mean, the drop's sounding good too, but I think it's time to shift our focus onto the drop itself and think, what more can we add? Does it need any atmospheric elements like the parts before it? And do we need to layer the bass? I, for one, think that our main bass still needs at least one more layer to help it kind of hit. Because right now, it's lacking some sort of, I want to say a certain element of punch. It just sounds like it could be bigger. So I might think about designing another bass itself, maybe for the sides so that it sounds more stereo.
It needs that little like I don't know.
It needs like a more
I
more
like
of a movement
I
to
like
it.
slap, but that's just because I'm a bassist.
Yeah.
So
It needs something like that. One thing I did
like a pluck.
think I could add was we have these claps right here, right? And I was thinking I could add that to this one part in particular. Yeah. Right here where it goes to that sort of progression.
Yeah, it kind
Can
of
barely
catches
even
that
hear
rhythm.
it.
It's like kind of goes in that.
So I'll bring that up by a little bit. Where are we at here? 3. All right. And then put that here. And then I might have this continue on for the entire next part.
He's a madman.
All right, that sounded pretty good. One thing I need to be careful though is for the break here, I'm not filtering out much of the lows because there's not much happening in the lows, so I don't have to worry so much about muddying up this area here. But in the drop, there's a lot happening right around here, particularly in the bass and percussion areas. So what I need to do is just automate right here to bring that up a bit. Maybe filter out up to 300 hertz. Just to keep the low end a little bit tighter. And then right here, as everything else is filtering up, I might want to filter up the claps as well. Okay, sounding pretty good. So yeah, what we will take a look at next is the bass and how we can make it better. Where are we at here? 14. All right, cool. So I'll do that on the next episode, and I will see you guys then.
See you guys. Well, not really see, but you know what I mean.
You'll hear us.